Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor, City Attorney, Chief of Staff, City of Romulus. The regular council meeting of Monday, January 27th, 2020. Roll call. Councilwoman Abdo. Here. Councilman Barton.
Here.
Councilwoman Roscoe.
Here.
Councilwoman Talley.
Here.
Councilman Wadsworth.
He's excused.
Councilwoman Webb.
Here.
Councilwoman Williams. Mr. Chairman, a quorum is established.
Thank you.
The agenda for Monday, January 27th, 2020 is as follows. Number 1, agenda. Number 2, minutes. Number 3, petitioner. Number 4, chairperson's report. Number 5, mayor's report. Number 6, clerk's report. Number 7, treasurer's report. Number 8, public comment. Number 9, unfinished business. Number 10, new business. 11 is the warrant. 12 is communication, and 13 is adjournment. Mr. Chairman, a motion is in order to accept the agenda as presented.
So moved to accept the agenda as presented.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Talley, supported by Ms. Abdo, for approval of the agenda as presented. Ms. Talley,
Yes.
Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Webb.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Number 2, minutes. Approval of minutes from the regular meeting held on January 13th, 2020.
So move for approval of minutes from the regular meeting held on January 13th, 2020.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Abdo, supported by Ms. Talley, for approval of the minutes from the regular council meeting, which was held on January 13th, 2020. Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Ms. Talley,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Webb,
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, and motion is approved.
And 2B for minutes, approval of minutes from the public hearing at 6:00 p.m. and the special meeting study session at 6:30 p.m. held on January 13th, 2020.
Through the chair, if I may,
Yes, Ms. Webb.
I'd like to make that motion to approve the minutes from the public hearing on January 13th, 2020.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Webb, supported by Ms. Roscoe, for approval of the minutes from our public hearing at 6 p.m. on January 13th, 2020. Ms. Webb,
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Ms. Talley.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Number 3 is petitioner, and at this time, we don't have any petitioners. Number 4, chairperson's report.
Thank you, Deputy Clerk. First of all, I'd like to say that we had a ceremony at 7 o'clock tonight for a Community Service Award for holiday decorations. And there was a lot of beautiful homes decorated. The committee is on those decoration, and Mr. Dunn's committee did an extremely good job of presenting awards for these beautiful homes that was decorated during the holidays. At this time, I'd like to recognize Councilwoman Abdo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion for a memorial resolution for Mr. Ron Hobson.
Support.
Okay. Ron was born and raised in Romulus, Michigan. To cherish his memory, he leaves behind his wife Ruth and his children Sean, Sue, Bert, and Brent. He was a grandfather to Krista, Brooke, Ryan, Courtney, Ashley, and a loving great-grandfather to Olivia. Ron was also involved in many aspects of our community.
It was motioned by Ms. Abdo, supported by Ms. Roscoe for a memorial resolution. Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe,
Yes.
Ms. Tally,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Webb.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved. Now I'm going to, Chair is gonna recognize, Councilwoman Roscoe.
Thank you. I'd like to ask for a memorial resolution for Melvin Zilka. I get support.
Support.
And I would like to read part of his resolution here. It says, whereas the people of the city of Romulus were truly saddened to hear the passing of Melvin Zilka on January 23rd, 2020. Whereas Melvin served the community of Romulus on the Planning Commission, Board of Zoning Appeals, former DPW employee, and ran the tractor show at the Pumpkin Festival. And whereas Melvin was preceded in death by his wife Dolores, and to cherish his memory, he leaves 2 children, Deborah Zilka, Don and Heather Zilka, daughter-in-law, Christine Zilka, 4 grandchildren, Anthony, Carol, Jessica, Gabrielle, Kayla, and a great-grandchild, Aiden. We are very sorry for the family. We're gonna miss Mel very much throughout the community. And Mr. Wadsworth couldn't be here tonight, he's out of town, but he asked me to extend his sympathies, and he also wanted me to say, rest in peace, my friend Melvin. And I would too. Mel was a great guy.
Thank you. Ms. Roscoe,
Yes.
Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Webb,
Yes.
Ms. Tally.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved. I wanted to give condolences to our city clerk, Ellen Braggs, for the loss of her brother. And we have our prayers for Ms. Braggs. Just want to let her know that we're thinking about her and we're praying for her and her family. Also, on another note, that it's sad to say that even though I didn't really know this person personally, the star athlete Kobe Bryant, he lost his wife, lost her husband and a child. It's a funny thing, it kind of kicks you in the stomach a little bit of what happened. And that's why I say you always have to live in the moment and love each other, because life can turn on a dime. And it makes you think, how soon that you can leave this earth. So it's best to love one another. With that, I'm gonna conclude my report.
Mr. Chair, I'll ask for a motion to accept your report.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Tally, to approve the chairperson's report. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Tally?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is Mayor's Report number 5.
Good evening, City Council, Deputy Clerk, and audience. Quote I brought tonight ties into a couple points I want to make, and it goes as this: kindness is loving people more than they deserve. And in the last couple weeks, I know we've had a lot of people show a lot of kindness, and I wanted to give a couple shout outs to some. Busy week, prior week with the Martin Luther King holiday, and we had our firefighters going to pick up things and meet us at the middle school. And I want to give a shout out to E-Course Market, Nick there, who donated some supplies unwillingly. Saw him there picking up things, heard what the event was for. Great business guy. He invested over there, spent a lot of money, has a very nice store, and was nice enough to have the firefighters bring that to people that were there at the walk. So thank you. Great event. The community schools came together and kind of led with a bunch of different programs. The Rotary did a nice breakfast. Public safety, DPW, everybody, if you helped somehow, some way, we appreciate you. Last week, a couple people on our team really stepped up. I want to give a shout out to Mike Laskaska and Jasmine Dancy and Tanya Cofield, who were in on the holiday working on things in preparation for State of the City. They know that holidays or not, work goes on, and I want to thank them for that. And all those who were gracious enough to be part of the video clips that gave of their time, business people, individual clergy that came here on their time to participate. Thank you. We do have a real short video I'd like to run, and then I got a few action items.
Hello everyone, I'm Mary Dreer. Here's what's going on around Romulus. The Romulus Public Library is hosting a number of job fairs in preparation for the 2020 census. Come to the library in February during the following dates and times to apply. A representative from the Census Bureau will be there to help. Join us on Saturday, February 8th for the 3rd annual Curling Royale. You can pre-register your team of 4 at City Hall or come solo and join a team on the day of. The cost is $10 per person, with proceeds benefiting local military families. Spots will fill up quickly. This event is weather permitting. Tickets are now on sale for the Mother-Son Dance. Cost is $20 per couple and $7 for each additional son. Tickets can be purchased at the Community Development Office at City Hall. The deadline to purchase tickets is 4 p.m. on Monday, February 3rd. For our good news of the week, we would like to thank everyone who attended the Mayor's annual State of the City address. Proceeds raised from the event goes towards sponsoring for the Sounds of Downtown concert series and the movies in the park. This year, nearly $3,000 was raised. Thanks everyone. Remember to like and share us on Facebook and YouTube, or visit our website for more information. Have a great night.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Chairman, just a few action items that I have. First one up is a recommendation from Kathy Hood, Assistant DPW Director, and Gary Harris, Purchasing Director. And the request is to concur with administration, award bid ITB 19/20-17, and that's the only responsible bidder, Todd Wetzel Chevrolet. That's for the purchase of a 2019 Chevy 3500 low cab forward gas 2-wheel drive 150-inch truck chassis and dry freight van body on that optional safety light package for DPW. The total amount is $53,181. Those funds have been verified and budgeted out of the motor vehicle capital outlay.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion that we award bid ITB 19/20-17 to Todd Wenzel Chevrolet.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Abdo, supported by Ms. Talley for ITB 19/20-17 for the Chevy 3500 low cab truck chassis. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call vote. Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Ms. Talley,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Webb,
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion approved.
Thank you, Council. The next item is also a recommendation from Kathy Hood, Assistant DPW, and Gary Harris, Purchasing. This request is to concur with the administration and award bid ITB 19/20-18, and that's the most qualified and responsible bidder, Burton's Plumbing, for the mandated backflow prevention device testing. The amount is $4,274 per fiscal year for the 3-year term. Those funds have been verified and budgeted out of the general fund, public safety, and it hits a couple other divisions of the water contractual services.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion for ITB 19/20-18 for the 3-year contract for the backflow testing.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Abdo for ITB 19/20-18 for the 3-year contract backflow testing. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. Ms. Roscoe,
Yes.
Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Ms. Talley,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Webb.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion approved.
Thank you, Council. Next item is C, and this is for coal patch. There's a couple of vendors on this one. The recommendations from Kathy Hood, DPW Director, Assistant DPW, and Gary Harris, Purchasing Director. And the request is to concur with administration, award ITB bid 19/20-19 to both bidding companies. Those are Cadillac Asphalt on a 1 year for $115 per ton and 2 year for $120 per ton. Also, Ajax Paving for 1 year at $113 per ton and 2 year at $117 per ton, and for a 2-year term to expire on January 22nd of '22, with the option to extend that bid for not more than 3 additional 1-year terms per the terms of the original bid upon written mutual consent. And that's for coal patch for DPW. Those funds have been verified and budgeted and come out of major street fund and local street for routine maintenance.
Through the chair, if I may.
Yes, Ms. Webb.
I'd like to make that motion to concur with the administration and award bid ITB 19/20-19 to both bidding companies, Cadillac Asphalt and Ajax Paving.
Support.
Been motioned by Ms. Webb, supported by Ms. Tally, for ITB 19/20-19. That's for the 2-year UPM cold patch pricing. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call vote. Ms. Webb.
Yes.
Ms. Tally.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. The next action item is also a recommendation from Kathy Hood, Assistant DPW, and Gary Harris. This one is to concur the administration award ITB bid 19/20-20, and this is for Osborne Concrete, for a 2-year contract, to terminate on the December 31st of 2021 for the fixed pricing of delivered concrete with the option to renew that contract for up to 3 additional 1-year terms per the terms of the solicitation documents. That hit is verified and budgeted out of the major and local street funds, and as council knows, that is a local supplier.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Tally.
I'd like to make that motion to concur with administration award bid ITB 19/20-20 to Osborne Concrete for a 2-year contract to terminate on 12/31/21 for a fixed pricing of delivered concrete with the option to renew the contract for up to 3 additional 1-year terms for the terms of the solicitation documents.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Tally, supported by Ms. Abdo, for ITB 19/20-20, 2-year concrete pricing. Any discussion?
Through the chair, if I may.
Yes, Ms. Webb.
Not to discuss, but to just let the residents know and the people in the audience, this is for 2 repairs, city properties as well as for water main. And we all know when they come through and they tear up the street, that we must repair that. So some of this concrete, some of the, from Osborne is also going to be used for that purpose.
Ms. Tally?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. The next is for our diesel fuel. This is for a recommendation that came from Kathy Hood, Assistant DPW, and Gary Harris. The request is to concur the administration award ITB bid 19/20-21 to the lowest and most responsive and responsible bidder, Foster Blue Water Oil LLC, and that's for a fixed 2-year pricing for the purchase of number 1 and number 2 diesel fuel, and for the rental of the 1,000-gallon above-ground dispensary tank at the rate of $60 per month for any of the months which the city does not meet the minimum. And the $75 tank delivery charge and $75 tank pickup fee for DPW Motor Vehicle Division. Those funds are verified and budgeted and come out of the motor vehicle gas and oil expense account.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion that we concur with administration and award bid ITB 19/20-21 to Foster Blue Water Oil LLC.
Support.
Been motioned by Ms. Abdo, supported by Ms. Tally, for ITB 19/20-21, for the 2-year diesel pricing. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Tally?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. Next is for flagpoles for the new court. This is a recommendation from Robert McCray, Public Service Director, a request to concur the administration award contract for the purchase of flagpoles and installation to Delta Construction Associates Products, Inc., the amount $16,120. That's for the new court building, and those funds were taken out of the already approved contingency fund, which was approved for the general contractor, George W. Auk Company.
Through the chair, if I may.
Ms. Webb?
I'd like to make that motion to concur with the administration and award the contract for the purchase of flagpoles and installation.
Support.
Been motioned by Ms. Webb, supported by Ms. Roscoe, for the award contract for purchase and installation of flagpoles. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Tally?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. The last action item is a recommendation from legal counsel. It's a request to concur the administration, authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into the agreement with Gabriel Roeder Smith and Company, and that's for the actuarial valuation to determine the city's retiree health care plan. That'll actually be budgeted for once under the clerk's report, you'll see that action item on the 27th.
Public hearing. Go for it, somebody.
Need a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion for the retiree healthcare actuarial evaluation. And that's
There's
all
what?
I need to do.
Any support?
I'll support that.
Okay. It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Webb. This for retired healthcare actuary valuation. Any discussion? Ms. Williams?
Yes, through the chair to the mayor, did we use this company last year before? We did? Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Tally?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. That concludes my report.
Thank you.
For number 6, clerk's report. And Mr. Chairman, under the clerk's report, I'd first like to announce to the council and to the city of Romulus, the clerk's office will start mailing absentee ballots on tomorrow, January 28th. Also, just to show everyone the new certified or official election mail, these are the new ballots, Bureau of Election. And this will be the envelope where your ballot will go out. We'll send it out from the clerk's office. And the green colored ballot envelope is for you to send your ballot back to the clerk's office. Just samples so everyone know we're now dealing with different colored envelopes. Your secrecy sleeve will also be the same color. So your ballot will come in your secrecy sleeve and you will return it in your secrecy sleeve. Make sure your ballot number is on top here.
Ms. Abdo, you have something?
Yes, can we take a picture of that and run it on our Facebook page so that people know what to look for? I've
Yes,
seen
I'm
that
sure.
other cities are doing that, and I thought that might be something we could do too.
I don't think there's a problem with putting the
Just a picture of the
right.
envelope, this is what, expect this.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Also, just to announce that there's a silver drop box out front to drop off AV applications as well as ballots. And when filling out your application, when you're returning it, don't forget everyone to sign the back of your envelope. Right here, I just put a little sticker and I highlighted with yellow, but please sign the back of your envelope when returning your absentee ballot. And just to note that when you fill out your application for an AV ballot, you must, and this is a requirement, you must indicate a political party ballot style. There will be 3 different type ballots. One is for Republican ballot, one is for Democrat ballot, and one is for proposal only. The city of Romulus will have a local proposal. It's a Wayne County proposal. And lastly, there is no reason to apply for absentee ballot. And that concludes my announcements.
One more, Ms. Williams, you have
Yes.
something for the?
Do you have any idea what that proposal is?
I do. And let's see. I did bring a sample of the no party declaration ballot. And this is, I can read it. It's the renewal of the Wayne County Art Institute Authority millage.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Under the clerk's report for A, second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 19/20-13. In this second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 19/20-13 for the dog run for the animal shelter to be funded from the animal shelter donation account 701-000-280-32 in the amount of $13,000. Motion is in order.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion for second reading and final adoption. of the Budget Amendment 19/20-13 for the Dog Run for the Animal Shelter to be funded through the Animal Shelter donation account at the amount of $13,000.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Abdo, supported by Ms. Williams, for second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 19/20-13. Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Webb,
Yes.
Ms. Tally,
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
And I have second reading, final adoption of Budget Amendment 19/20-14.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion for second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 19/20-14 for the purchase of 6 4XR gas detectors from awarded Marathon grant in the amount of $7,668.
Support.
Been motioned by Ms. Abdo, supported by Ms. Roscoe, for second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 19/20-14. Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe,
Yes.
Ms. Tally,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Webb.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Item C, second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 19/20-15 to account for the 36th District Court GRS services and the court's reimbursement. Additionally, to account for the request to complete a supplemental valuation for all divisions within the retiree health care plan as of June 30th, 2019. The first reading and introduction was at the council meeting of January 13th, 2020.
Chair, I'll make that motion for second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 19/20-15.
Support.
Been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Webb, second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 19/20-15.
Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, it's 34th District Court.
District,
Just
yeah.
want to make sure that if someone's
34th.
listening out there.
Okay. Ms. Roscoe,
Yes.
Ms. Webb,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Tally,
Yes.
Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Item D is approve the sale of parcels listed to Middle Belt Smith Investment LLC in the amount of $5,000 per acre in accordance with the terms contained in the agreement of purchase and sale.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion that we approve the sale of parcels listed in the Middlebell Smith investment.
Support.
Been motioned by Ms. Abdo, supported by Ms. Tally, for approval of the sale of the parcels listed to the Middlebelt Smith Investment. Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Discussion.
Oh, discussion.
anybody want to discuss?
Yes.
Yes, Ms. Williams.
Yes. I would like concerning parcel number 80-041-99-005-701, and it's zoned M1 light. This property is a total of 19.45 acres. Why are we selling it for $5,000 each acre, which it totals out to be $97,250?
Hi, good evening. The parcel number that you're referring to, the M1 zoned parcel, is covered with considerable wetlands. It also has the E-course drain running through the center of it, and it has issues with the title. So the purchaser is going to have to go through the process of quieting the title or taking some type of action to have clear title to this property. We are not selling it via warranty deed, we're selling it via quitclaim deed with as is, no insurances on the title.
Okay, but I pull the assessed value as of 2019. It states that the land value is actually $1,147,600.
That was before we had the wetlands valuation.
I just have a problem with that area. Even though you said it's issues going on with the land, that's a large piece of property, 19 acres, right? 19 and a half acres.
Not all 19 is usable. Off of the top of my head, there may be 5 usable acres, and it's not rectangular in shape, the usable acres. So the usability of that parcel is limited at this point.
So do you have any idea of what the actual buyer plans to do with this property?
I do not.
And so in the other 17 properties, even though they're smaller properties, because I looked each one of them up, there's still homes in that area, right?
I'm gonna say half dozen or
A few?
less.
So there's nothing he can do or they can do until they acquire more of that property over there?
Well, I guess it would depend on the development, I suppose, and I'm kind of speaking outside of the realm of what I really know, but I suppose the development could start at Middle Belt and work west towards the homes.
I just wish what you just said would have been included in here to say that out of the 19.450, acres, only 5 acres of it is actually.
I apologize, that's my fault, I
Is
drafted
it
the memo.
anything
so
in writing that states that?
I would have the MDEQ reports that I can provide to you.
Because I just have a problem with, and I'm looking at the buyer, and I wasn't familiar with the area over there in that land. The city doesn't, I was thinking of Wick Road originally, Wick and Vining. And I'm sure years ago, decades ago, the city owned that property, some of it, and it ended up getting sold off. We have to consider making sure whoever we are selling this property to, they're gonna bring something back to benefit us. Because to say yes and keep selling all this property off to developers that wanna put something that's not gonna benefit the residents, it makes no sense, not to me.
This particular bidder holds a considerable number of commercial properties in the city, hotels, building a retail center now. So he's investing in the commercial opportunities in the community. So I have no idea what he plans to do with the RC zoned properties, but RC does require large-scale commercial development.
So you're saying he's planning on building retail somewhere in Romulus?
The zoning would require large-scale commercial on the
Commercial.
south side of
So
Smith.
commercial consider what, hotels?
Hotels, restaurants.
It really would have been good for me to be comfortable with it, to kind of know what he have in mind, because nobody in their right mind will go around and buy this kind of property and not have no idea what they plan to do with it.
I don't know what he
Well,
plans to do.
I'm
with it.
just saying,
Yeah.
I'm sure he does. So he should have at least gave us some kind of idea of what he planned to do with it, asking us to approve to sell it to him. So that was my concern. Thank you.
Just to clarify the process with Julie, so this went through property disposition,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And property disposition, typically, they just make sure it meets whatever's zoned for that area. They don't typically get into conversations about what they're gonna do with it. It's just clear that whatever the property is zoned for, that the buyer knows that.
Correct,
So that's really their role.
correct.
Thank you.
Okay, so even with the property deposition, and I appreciate their service, is anyone within that committee, an attorney with real estate, to know the value of the property?
So the committee, by charter, I am required to be a member. The city clerk is required to be a member. Our community/economic development director is required to be a member. And then we have 2 resident representatives that are appointed to the committee. And that's the charter requirement.
That's the charter requirement. But I was just wondering, since the mayor brought up the commission, was anybody on there that actually know the legal value of the land, that can say, hey, we're not just giving this away?
Me, that would be my role. And with the considerable title issues, because these are tax reverted properties, in the one case in particular with the wetlands and the drain issue, these properties have been available for purchase since October of 2017, and we haven't received an offer until this offer. That appears to be the market value for this property, especially the checkerboard pieces, because they're scattered. And it makes sense, really, for someone who holds property in the area already to acquire these, to try and assemble the parcels, so that down the road, some type of commercial development would be feasible.
like I said, my concern was, after I realized that we don't own anything, not a stitch of grass on Wick and Vining, none of that over there, we have to consider looking at areas, big areas, that where the city can hold ownership to it, and maybe consider down the road offering it to a developer that want to bring in a grocery store, or that want to bring in something that'll actually benefit the residents. Hotels and those type of things, parking structures, that's not benefiting us. We live here. So, we got somewhere to sleep,
So
we got
for
somewhere to park our car.
For these particular properties, the M1 parcel wouldn't allow for a grocery store. And the parcels on the south side of Smith that are zoned RC, if you look at the map that I highlighted, are in such a checkerboard pattern. I think it's 3 3/4 acre total, but there's 17 separate parcels across, I think, 5 or 6 different streets. So anybody coming in would have to assemble those parcels into a larger piece to do any type of development.
Well, see, and the reason I ask is because if you don't ask, you won't know. And I was just considering, because after finding out that we don't own anything on Wick, and the residents are screaming for development of things that benefit us, then when we start selling big, large 19 acres of property, we should consider making sure that down the road, it's not gonna backfire on us and not benefit the residents. That's what I'm saying.
Right, this would be a difficult parcel to develop with the wetlands and with the creek. This is gonna create some obstacles for someone.
Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Through the chair, if I may.
Yes, Ms. Webb.
I understand the concern, but these parcels are not together. They are so scattered. And I did some research on this, and by it being zoned RC, it will help the city, and it will be on the other side, because that's tax revenue. And if it's by it being zoned RC, then they can bring in, it's commercial, they can bring in anything commercial, not industrial, like out on Vining, because that's zoned. Out on Vining is for industrial, a portion of it. But out here, at least, and of course, I'm a fan of wetlands. We have 90 acres out there, correct me if I'm wrong, 90 acres of wetland out by Lear Ziegler, where Lear Ziegler used to be. You can't do anything with wetlands. That's illegal. So by them having these wetlands, they're not really getting a whole lot of buildable property. But when they do, by being zone RC, then that's a great thing for the city, because we can, by being commercial, we can have the hotels, we can have the restaurants, we can have commercial businesses there instead of trucking or industrial businesses.
Yes.
And to Ms. Webb, I understood what Julie said, and I appreciate her saying that. What I was asking, that before I'm asked to vote on something, let everything be clear, not have to ask for it at council. I understand that the parcels are scattered and they're not all together. I can see and I can also read, but when you say 19.45 acres, there's nothing in there to say anything about wetland. So I was satisfied with what our assessor explained. Thank you.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
No.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
For item E, city assessor to prepare the proposed special assessment roll for removal and replacement of pedestrian street lighting. Mr. Chairman, the Property Disposition Committee respectfully requests City Council to direct the city assessor to prepare the proposed special assessment roll for removal and replacement of pedestrian street lighting on the west side of Wickham from Merriman South to Wick. And this is the third step.
Through the chair, I'd like to make that motion for the assessor to prepare the proposed special assessment roll.
Support.
The motion by Ms. Webb, supported by Ms. Talley. for the assessor to prepare the proposed special assessment roll for removal and replacement of pedestrian street lighting. Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Tally?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
And under Clerk's Report F, Julie Elbert, Director of Assessing and Financial Services, respectfully requests to schedule a public hearing to be held in the Romulus City Hall chambers Monday, February 24th, 2020 at 7:15 p.m. for the sole purpose of hearing any objections to the proposed special assessment roll costs, and this is the fourth step, on taxpayers in the proposed special assessment district will be notified by mail of this public hearing, and it will be advertised in the newspaper.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion that we schedule a public hearing per the request of Julie Albert for February 24th, 7:15 p.m.
Support.
And motion by Mr. Abdo, supported by Ms. Tally, for a public hearing request from Julie Albert, Director of Assessing and Financial Services. And this is for February 24th, 2020 at 7:15 p.m. Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Ms. Tally,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Webb,
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
And under the clerk's report, the last item G, a request from Julie Elbert, Director of Assessing and Financial Services, to hold special meeting study session on Monday, February 3rd, 2020 at 6:15 p.m.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion for study session request from Julie Albert, Director of Assessing and Financial Services, for Monday, February 3rd, 2020 at 6:15 p.m.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Webb. Study session from Julie Albert, Director of Assessing and Financial Service, for Monday, February 3rd, 2020 at 6:15 p.m. Ms. Roscoe,
Yes.
Ms. Webb,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Tally,
Yes.
Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Under agenda item 7A, Treasurer's Report, City Treasurer Stacy Page wishes to discuss Taxpayers Assistance Day along with two special speakers. Stacy Page is not here today. She's not feeling well. And she has Dennis Davison, who's here in the audience, as well as Alexandria J. Taylor, discussing Taxpayers Assistance Day.
Okay?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, Deputy Clerk. I'm Dennis.
I'm Alexandria Taylor.
We'd like to talk a little bit about our Taxpayers Assistance Day, but before we do that, I want to, our Wayne County Treasurer, Eric Sabri, wants to send along his regards to the city of Romulus, and also to mention that the county does not want your property. If you're having a problem paying your taxes, we've got programs to help everybody out. We just went through 6 days of tax hearings with people, counseling about almost 3,000 people who are coming in to find out what they can do with our programs. We now have kiosks. One is at the rack, and people can come in and pay on a monthly basis. We also want to assist them as best as we can with programs in this community, along with partnership with Mayor Burkroff and Treasurer Page. And I'd like to have Alexandria talk a little bit about that.
Yes, so on Saturday, February 22nd, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., we will hold a Taxpayer Assistance Day at the Romulus Athletic Center. And what's so awesome about this event is representatives from the Treasurer's Office will be on site to sign residents up for payment plans. So as he said, residents don't have to lose their home. There are a lot of options out there, and you can come on that day from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. to discuss all of your options. Many people who are behind may have gotten a notice about Friday, January 17th. It's not too late. You can still sign up for assistance. So we just encourage all of those who are within the city who are struggling. If you know anyone in your churches, or neighborhoods who are struggling, to invite them out. It's a completely free event, and as I stated, they'll be able to get on a payment plan that day and leave with some reassurance that they will not lose their home.
Did we mention the time?
Yes,
Okay.
11 a.m. to 4
PM on Saturday, February the 22nd. Have any questions? Any answers?
No questions from council?
And we have it on Facebook too. I have it on my personal Facebook, so if anybody wants to share it as public, I encourage you to share it or save it, text it to all of your friends or like your churches, anyone in your neighborhood who may benefit.
Okay.
I have one question.
Ms. Webb?
What tax year does this include? Is this if you're behind maybe
It's 2017.
2017? Okay.
Ms. Williams, you have something?
I would just like to say thank you to Ms. Alexandria Taylor, Dennis, and Treasurer's Office for bringing this to our city, because I noticed a lot of cities have this quite often, and their cities bringing it to the residents, and also our treasurer and our mayor. Thank you so much for bringing this to our residents.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We, need to know what the rules are. We had our tax days downtown. Guy come in, Vietnam veteran, had the money to pay his mother's taxes since she passed away, but didn't know he had to renew his plan every year. So he gets a notice that he's behind on his taxes when he really wasn't. He had been paying all along. But this helps you know the rules of how you make your payments, and it's well worth it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, next on the agenda is public comment, and this is the portion of the agenda for those in the audience who would like to address City Council. The rules to address City Council can be found on the back of the meeting agenda, and if you'd like to address City Council, please raise your hand, and after being acknowledged by the chairperson, approach the podium and state your name and address. Please note you have 3 minutes to speak, and any additional time would be upon consent of the chairperson. And Mr. Chair, I do have one person, a resident, Mr. Willie Hester.
Okay. Ms. Hester? You have that.
Good evening, the mayor, council persons, all the people that came tonight. There were some issues we recently discovered. I represent the Romulus Civic League, and we recently incurred some bad situation as far as taxes and things to some of the property that we own. So I decided that going back and forth with the assessor's office, since they dug in to establish their position, I let the council and the mayor's system be aware of how I feel. Again, I represent the Romulus Civic League. I've been president since 1988, even though the league itself been in existence since 1946 at the same location. And there's some things I don't understand, and I'd like to have that question answered by later, if necessary, but I'd like to get it in writing pertaining to the change in our status from being a public charitable group. Whereas what I read and what's been said is two different things. I thought all public and charitable entities were tax exempt. Not that I have a 503C. That wasn't a clutcher. If I'm a public charitable group, from the IRS to the state, they all can say that those conditions exist, you're tax exempt. And I didn't find that to be what I'm hearing. I really want to come and represent the people that aren't here, because I can't dig them up, they're all dead. Even though I got live members, some are present, that made the sacrifice of donating property and things to the league on its conception, because it's all volunteer. It isn't no money involved. All the things we do for the city, basically. All our dollars donating, fundraised. is all going back into the city, whether it be the candidates' night, that don't cost the city nothing, but we represent that to show our closeness with the city as partners. But I think we've fallen short. So I wanted to take the time, I got a bad cold, so I wanted to take the time to let you know that there was a song called This Ain't Over. We're still gonna push to try to get this resolved because it's getting out of hand, back and forth, back and forth. I wanted to let the council know that we still plan to stay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hester. Ms. Williams?
Yes, I received a letter pertaining to the civic lead from our assessor, and then I spoke with Mr. Hester, and it was said to me that it was told to them to clean off one part of the property, and they did that, but yet and still, that was not the right property. So could we please make sure that we're clear on what property that they were supposed to clean off to make sure that they don't be taxed? Because that's the concern.
Sure, and this is a state level really. What I will probably do is maybe under unfinished, I'll have the assessor come up and explain what changed. We have tried to work out, we appreciate the Civic League, they do a lot of great things. This isn't something we're trying to institute on them, but we do have to make sure we notify and comply with what the state does. I know we've had our assessors, Bob McCrate's been involved trying to help. I think the clerk's office was involved, but unless you have any other speakers, I can go on to unfinished and have her come up and kind of talk about it, and we'd be happy to put something in writing.
Yeah, I think we have a couple more speakers. I think Ms. Walker, you had your hand up first, and then Ms. Miller, and then, okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sharon Walker, and I live on Gabriel Street here in Romulus. My concern is that I watched the city council meeting of January the 6th, and it was stated a new retiree health care committee was being formed. I turned in a letter to the mayor's office requesting to be placed on the retirees health care committee. I felt since I had retired from the city of Romulus with 36 years, and I was a union steward for many years, was a part of many negotiated contracts, I could lend my expertise. Mr. Luzon, the HR director, called me on January 25th, stating he had received 2 letters. Now, at the time, January 6th council meeting, which I watched twice, a letter was read that Mr. Luzon had sent to a retiree, stating there were 7 people that had volunteered. Mr. Luzon stated a committee had already been formed when he called me. I hope age discrimination is not involved, as this is illegal. On the January 6th meeting, Mayor, you stated that you wanted people to participate, and I asked why was I denied. I reviewed the packet this morning at City Hall and saw item G. That was a letter from our attorneys recommending GRS, Gabriel, Roeder, and Smith, a retirement consulting company, to prepare a retiree health care evaluation for $42,500. Their report will include all City of Romulus retirees per their letter, not the pre, not the post, not the anything. This keeps being said, pre-65, post-65, it requires all retirees. I was informed a meeting will be held on February the 12th or the 13th for the new committee, and I'm again requesting to be a part of that committee.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Mr. Miller?
Good evening, Charles Miller, St. Aloysius Street, Romulus. Although I appreciate the explanation in regards to this property of 19-plus acres, Number one, certainly, the wetlands can be remediated. There's a remediation pond right now at the corner of Hannon and Wick Road, which is substantial within itself, probably more than 19 acres. You can remediate wetlands in cooperation with the EPA. When we look at the Land Division Act information in regards to this property, we see that Romulus had valued this property at $1,147,600. Now, that was just last year, 2019. You sold the property for 1/10 of its value. At some point in time, that property is going to be substantially valuable. And understand that while it's in the hands of the city of Romulus, Romulus pays no taxes on it. It's free, just lying there fallow. I personally, as a citizen, believe it was a bad deal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Hello. My name is Larry Dixon. I stay at 11320 Grover Street. I'd like to acknowledge the mayor and the honorable council. I'm also here to discuss or talk about the Romulus Civic League situation. I have some questions basically that can be answered afterwards because I don't want to run my 3 minutes up. But as I look at the federal government or the IRS sending us a classification of a public charity status, it makes me wonder where the state actually dictates to the federal government's jurisdiction. It's confusing to me because they're telling us that we're tax exempt. Then I did a little research and I was able to find out that the Michigan Supreme Court actually talks about charitable tax exempt property taxes. So why aren't we free of taxes? Why are we paying taxes? Also, I wanted to say for 73 years, Romulus Civic League has been around for been around for 74 years. 73 years, we went with a tax exemption. Now all of a sudden, out of nowhere or out of somewhere, somebody comes up with this. I don't think it's really fair. The other thing I think the council should know is that when they decided to close Park Place South, and they gave the house to the left of us 20 feet and us 20 feet. Actually, when those lots that we're talking about were donated, they're actually running the wrong direction. All our houses in our area are running east and west. The lots that they're telling us that we gotta clear and everything else run north and south. It also sounds like it's landlocked to me. It's actually landlocked right up against our property. So I've also wanted to know, why haven't we tried to combine that or figure a way to bring it all back together like it was intended to be? I just pray that the council and others will get involved. We're an organization that barely makes it on what we have, and we're trying to remain charitable and continue to do that. And I just hope that they'll reconsider these taxes that are popping up all of a sudden out of nowhere. We were probably paying less than $100 or $200 a year. Now it's as much as $700 or $800. You know, this doesn't make sense. It's like somebody's picking and poking here. You know, we need to let principles replace personalities here, because that's what it feels like. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Any other comments from the audience? If there's no more comments from the audience, we'll close that part out. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see your hand.
Yeah, my name is Roger Peterson. I live on Warman Street in Romulus. My concern is the wetland that young lady was talking about. Is the city selling the land? Are they advertising it?
Talking to Mike, so
Oh,
so
I'm
they can hear
sorry.
you. Okay.
They are advertising. How long was it listed?
Through the chair, if I may. Would
Yes.
you come to the microphone, please?
Sure, the parcel on Smith Road, the 19-acre parcel, was originally listed with Signature and Associates for a period not to exceed 6 months. We did not receive any offers, and we did not renew the listing with Signature. It's subsequently been posted with the City of Romulus for sale sign that was constructed and installed by our DPW. So it's had a for sale sign on the property.
For how long?
I'm gonna say November of 2017, approximately.
Okay.
I think. Any other comments from the audience? No other comments from the audience? We'll close the part out.
If it's okay, when under unfinished, I'll leave her here and we'll go into one of the explanations if we could.
Mr. Chairman, next on the agenda is unfinished business.
What I'd like to do, Mr. Chairman, is have Julie Albert address kind of what's happened at the state level, and then we'll definitely like to set up a meeting with Civic League again to try to get this resolved. We'd love to try to help get it resolved, and then I'll speak to the issue about the healthcare after that. So, Julie, can you speak to kind of what's happened statewide with?
Sure. So the state began auditing assessment practices back in 2014. The second round of audits is coming around actually for 2020. And a few years ago, the state let us know that one of the things they would be targeting is tax-exempt properties. They wanted to make sure that the city was granting tax exemption appropriately and not just handing out tax exemptions kind of willy-nilly, if you will. So we went through our database, we worked with the airport authority, we worked with Wayne County, we worked with the schools, we worked with various churches and their parsonages, we worked with the Civic League, we worked with the Coleman Center. I'm trying to think, there's a third entity and I'm just drawing a blank. So what we found is that the Civic Center actually owns two separate parcels. They own the parcel on Warman with the building, with the structure, with the equipment and that type, and that is tax exempt. The status on that has not changed. They also own a second parcel which fronts on Grover. It's a wooded parcel. So it doesn't qualify for exemption because Michigan compiled laws, which governs property tax law in Michigan, says that for a charitable organization to own property and for it to be property tax exempt, it has to own the property and use it for the purposes for which the organization was incorporated. So Steve Hitchcock and I actually met with Mr. Hester and Mr. Dixon in June to kind of talk through that language. We talked about, we can't tell them what to do, but some suggestions of, what's the purpose for which the Civic League is incorporated? What could you do with that land so that it would qualify for tax exemption? Would it be recreation in nature? Equipment, picnic tables? Again, we can't say for sure what they would do with it, but we tried to make some suggestions back in June as to what could be done to qualify the property. Again, the Civic Center parcel itself, with the parking, with the building, has been exempt and continues to be exempt. The parcel that we're discussing is I'm going to call it a vacant land parcel, but it's completely wooded. So it would have to be cleared and kind of improved to go along with what the use of the Civic Center is in order for it to qualify for exemption. It could be combined with the Civic Center parcel. The rub in that is that the county policy requires all taxes to be paid. And since the taxes aren't paid on the Grover parcel, it cannot be combined with the Civic Center parcel at this time. If the taxes are paid up and current, then those two parcels could be combined together.
Ms. Williams.
Was Was this information given to them when you met with them, you know, about combining it before the taxes was actually due?
Well, the problem is that there's 2018 and 2019 taxes due. And we didn't meet with the Civic League until June of 19, so that the 2018 taxes would have been paid and the 2019 taxes have to be paid. We do combinations one time a year. It's like this time of year. So the summer and the winter taxes have to be paid. So all of the taxes, 2018, 2019, and now 2020 would have to be paid for the parcels to be combined for 2021.
Because you know, as I stated earlier, you know, I'm sure all the council members received your letter and thank you. And so I got the impression that when Bob McCray directed them what property to cut back, or, you know, trying to assist them into, you know, getting it up under that guideline, that he directed the wrong property. So was it something in writing, or do Bob have anything where he directed them to clear the right property?
So I can tell you, me personally, because our system employs aerial GIS mapping, we were able to provide aerials to Mr. Hester and Mr. Dixon. And while the property lines are not perfect, it gives you an idea of the area that we're talking about, the wooded area. I know I gave those aerials to Mr. Hester and Mr. Dixon. I gave those aerials to Mr. McCray, so I believe that's what he forwarded on to the gentleman so that they could get an understanding of the wooded parcel. And it's not simply clearing it. The property has to be used, you know, for the purpose which the Civic League was incorporated. What is that purpose? How can they use it? There's probably 1,000 different uses that could be employed.
Because I was just under the impression from what the information I got that they were told to clear it up back 10 feet, put the picnic tables on it, and, you know, I mean, I've known different activities that went on over there down through the years to where it's not like a everyday event, but it has been used. But from the discussion, you know, after you did the letter, and they were saying that they were instructed to clean off the actual wrong area.
I can't speak to that. I truly do not know.
Mr. Chairman.
We provided the aerial of the wooded spot.
What I'd like to do is we'll take a fresh look at it. And Bob McCray wasn't direct, he was just trying to help them. And so we can clarify if there was some misunderstanding of the property. We'll make it real clear with the aerial and try to find out some way that Bob, or maybe we can get some help to make it fit the purpose for their exemption. And we'd be happy to do that as a separate meeting, and let's see if we can get it resolved. We'd love to help them, but we do have to follow the state guidelines, and you know, we're trying to adhere to that too. So if that's okay with council and that's okay with the Civic League, we'll be happy to try to clarify that, and I'll pull Bob in and Julie in and myself, and we'll try to get it very clear and try to find a way to get it to where it conforms. But
Yeah. What I think that the Civic League is trying to do, Mayor and Council, is work out solutions so they can move forward, something that, you know, both sides will be satisfied and take the pressure off of them.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm clear with what was said. So from what I heard of the options, they have to, the parcel, they've always had that parcel's been part of always been. So they have to have the use of that property and conform with the state requirements, right?
So that's a state law. The state law
Right.
requires that the parcel be owned by the charitable organization and used for the purposes for which the organization is incorporated. And to give an example, like the city owns these city parcels that we just talked about. Those are not tax exempt because we are not using them for city purposes. We actually pay taxes to ourselves and the other taxing jurisdictions on these parcels. So it applies to the city as well. We can't just hold property to hold property for property's sake. We have to be using it for city function, a city purpose, park, et cetera, like that, in order for the property to be tax exempt.
And in order for them to have it combined with the Civic League, they have to pay the back taxes.
Correct.
And if
taxes
they
have to
pay
be
the
correct.
back, if the back taxes are paid, then it can be combined with no issue. Is that clear? Am I clear about that?
Back taxes and any current taxes. So
Okay.
all taxes have to be paid by December.
And then we can smoothly transition to it to be a part of the
Combined.
Civic League. I just want to make sure I'm clear. Okay. No? You're saying no?
Wait a minute.
We'll be happy to meet with them.
Yeah.
This is unfinished
Why don't-
business, and I'm trying to
Yeah.
respond to the questions that came about. If
Right,
there's,
let them, let,
No, I got,
Up through the
Okay.
chair.
I got you.
okay,
Got you.
okay. Okay, well, what we're gonna do is,
Through the chair, if I
we're
may
gonna
say
have Ms.
something.
Webb, and then we're gonna have a meeting, you know.
I would like to request, not just as a council member, but as a resident in my community down there, that when you do have these meetings with my neighbors, that I will set in on it, because I didn't know anything about this either. And I would like to know exactly what is going on before I ever speak out, because there are things that can be done, but I would rather be in that meeting with the assessor and the mayor and my neighbors.
Sure. What-
To see for sure what's going on.
and the other request I heard was something in writing that you wanted, and we can outline the steps we've gone through, what the law is, pull everybody together, and try to be as clear as possible. We'd love to help, but
Ms. Roscoe and then Ms. Williams.
The only question I have is you're saying that there was no notice? Whose responsibility was that to notify them?
So we
Where
sent
should
out
the
a notice of
notice came from?
assessment, just like we do everyone in February. So in February of 2018, a notice of assessment was mailed out. In July of 2018, the summer tax bill was mailed out. In December of 2018, the winter tax bill was mailed out. An assessment notice was mailed out in in February of 2019, a tax bill in July of 2019, and a tax bill in December of 2019. In addition to that, the Civic League had also completed an application for tax exempt status, I believe in March of 2018, for the Civic Center parcel. So we were working, they were supplying us the necessary information to continue to maintain the exempt status on the Civic Center parcel. So they've actually had 6 notifications over the last 2 years,
And
at
Ju-
least.
And Julie, if I
Wait a
may
minute, Ms. Webb.
request.
Just a minute,
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought she
that's
was
okay.
finished.
I think Ms. Williams was next.
Yeah, you know, the mayor mentioned something about a letter. What I was saying is, was it something in writing on file that Bob, gave to the Civic League, to Mr. Hester or Mr. Dixon, saying what partial need to be cleaned off? Because that's the misunderstanding. They was given the information, from what's being told to me, they was given the information to clean off a certain partial. And then when they cleared it off, only to find out later, they cleared off the wrong parcel. So it was a misunderstanding, and so that's what I'm trying to make clear. There was a misunderstanding, and I keep hearing Bob McCray, so.
well,
if
and
the
he'll
mayor
be part of that. And there was a map that was given that gave direction. If there was a misunderstanding, we'll try to clarify that too. But there was direction given. That was my understanding, and I know Julie had meetings and Steve was in some, and there was a map that Bob was instructed to give him, and maybe there was interpretation. I don't know, but we'll try to get that clarified.
Okay.
And I'd like to reiterate to my neighbors, Mr. Dixon and Mr. Hester, when you have those meetings, would you please call me and let me know so that I can be in attendance? Thank you.
John,
Okay. Ms. Abdo.
I would just like to ask the mayor, when they do have the meetings, if you'll notify all of council in case some of us want to attend also.
We get more than a quorum of you there, we'd have to
Well,
have a public notice of a public meeting.
okay, well,
To be
I would
public.
like to be notified.
Okay.
We can lay out the information, put it in writing. Maybe we can do it as a study session earlier, and then that way it's notified, and we meet Open Meetings Act. So.
Okay. Any other questions from council?
Thank you, Julie.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
So the other issue that came up under discussion was the issue about, there were 2 things with healthcare. The evaluation, yes, is all healthcare. The committee that was being established, if there was some misunderstanding, is only a specific group. which, as council knows, was pre-65. So there's no intention, never has been anything brought to you, no intention on our end to do anything post-65. So if people do have ideas and on any of the benefits, love to hear them. They're welcome to come in and talk to myself or HR and pass on any knowledge that they have. But this was only specific to that group. We did receive, I don't know how many exactly there were, but we did receive requests from that category, and we are moving forward with a meeting, and we'll fill council in on where that goes. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is agenda item number 10, new business. And agenda item number 11, warrant. Approval of warrant number 20-2.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we pay warrant 20-2 in the following amounts. General Fund, $49,305.44. Major Street Fund, $1,864.07. Local Street Fund, $2,129.02. Public Safety Fund, $19,120.65. Cable TV, $9.50. Merriman Road Special Assessment, $6,655. Street Lighting Fund, $67.89. Garbage and Rubbish Collection Fund, $88,799.12. NARC forfeiture for the state, $7,000. Library Fund, $4,722.64. DDA, $675.63. Tifa District 2, $2,264.75. Court Building Construction Fund, $747,775.51. Street and water, Water and Sewer Fund, $362,243.07. Motor Vehicle, $83,768.40. Technology Services, $7,113.05. Retiree Insurance Benefits, $41,834.42. Revolving Fund, $3,106.25. General Tax Fund, $6,175. Current Tax, $10,360.64. Payroll Fund, $110,754.08. Totaling all funds, $1,555,754.13.
Support.
Been motioned by Ms. Abdo, supported by Ms. Talley, to pay warrant number 20-2 for $1,555,754.13. Ms. Abdo,
Yes.
Ms. Talley,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe,
Yes.
Ms. Webb,
Yes.
Chair votes yes, warrant number 20-2 will be paid.
Agenda item number 12, communication.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Ms. Talley?
Just a couple of quick communications. First of all, I just want to bring to light a best-kept secret here in Romulus. I want to shout out to Lieutenant John Theed. I attended a play he's in. He's an actor, and a very good one at that. And I attended a play called Sweet Surrender. It was at a arts theater in Westland. Very, very good play. So I just want to give him a shout out for that. The cast was great. The play was great. And I'm not sure if the show is still running, but just support our local lieutenant. He has some creative, very gifted. I felt like I was on Broadway. So I just want to shout him out today. Thanks for the invite. And it was just a really great event. So give him a pat on the back when you see him again. And also want to put out there, if you're married and you have a marriage that needs a retune or recharge, Pastor Willis was very involved in our community. His church, Pentecost Baptist Church, is having a marriage ministry. Their marriage ministry is having a marriage and couples conference, February 14 and 15. You can register now. He used to do things out of state, but this one is actually local. You can reach Reverend Willis at 734-728-1390. If you want to put a tune-up to your marriage, just something, some fun. They have a lot of fun. It's not all churchy. You can have some fun with it too. So give him a call if you want to attend that event. And then I just want to do a special Shout out to our mayor and the state of the city. It was a great event, a great presentation, and it was very enjoyable, nice turnout, and I'm glad to be able to attend and be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other communications?
Lastly on the agenda is adjournment.
So move to adjourn.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Webb for adjournment. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Webb?
Yes.
Ms. Williams? Ms. Talley?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, we are adjourned. Thank you.